Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Today, I've got a game for you on the Atlantic map. It's a capture the base mode game, and we are in the legendary Japanese battleship Yamato. Unfortunately, this game is going to be a defeat, due in large part to some poor destroyer play on the part of one of my teammates. Now, I don't want to single this person out specifically by name, and I don't want to insult them or otherwise be toxic, but I do want to point out the mistake that they make near the end of the game. It's actually a prolonged mistake. You could probably call it a throw. And I'll also point out a point near the end of this game where, had my shot landed perfectly, I could have actually secured the win, although at the time I took the shot, I would have had no way of knowing that. Until we get there, though, it is going to be a bit of a ride and perhaps a bit of a slow burn. The Yamato has very large detectability. It's got a huge detectability radius, I think 16 kilometers without the smoke firing penalty, and then of course with the smoke firing penalty it goes up to 20 point something, since that is the range of my guns. Because of that, I did not want to be spotted in the early turn I performed, but I was. So, having to reposition myself here using this island in front of me as cover as I turn once more to starboard to execute the turn that I originally wanted to execute, looking at that Kagero over there whose torpedoes are sailing right in front of us. I did want to get a shot on him, but he's able to go dark within his smoke screen. The reason I want to turn in the Yamato at the beginning of the game and use that as my opening move to kind of find a position is because I don't want to play the Yamato like this guy out here is playing it. No offense to him, but you'll notice that the Yamato, and there are other battleships like this, has a 3 turret setup. It's got 2 super firing in the front and 1 in the back. A lot of people, when they play the Yamato or battleships with a turret setup like the Yamato, do not make really any effort to get that 3rd turret on target in the rear of the ship. Or if they do make that effort, then usually they are sitting stationary at the back of the map, fairly broadside, unaware that enemy battleships might have access to their broadsides. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's more like a kiting sort of maneuver with the Yamato. You make a turn and find stuck in enemies like this, Yamatos, other battleships, whatever, and then sort of kite away from them as you maintain fire on them with all 3 of your guns to maximize your firepower. And as you're maneuvering, you examine the map to see if you have broadside shots on anybody, or if anybody has broadside shots on you. Of course, if you see an enemy ship on the map that is giving broadside to you, then you shoot that, and if you are giving broadside to any enemy on the map, then you change your course. Now, I'm not doing a very good job of watching the map right now as I'm playing the game. I'm sort of tunnel visioning on this Yamato out here, but if you do look at the map, you'll notice I am in fact giving broadside to a red ship there out to the west. It's a gross occur first, and had he wanted to, he could have probably inflicted some pretty severe damage on me. But there are a couple of blue ships between me and him, and so I suspect he was spending all his time shooting at them. I think I have noticed that GK now, which is why I've turned to point my ship toward him, even though he's behind an island right now. This Yamato out here is 20-something kilometers away from me, and that one, 16.9 kilometers away from me, has an island blocking any shots from, him coming to me or me going to him. He's no real threat. In fact, the Gross First there behind the island will be the biggest threat should he ever choose to come out. And there is another Gross First, 18 kilometers out there. He's pretty far away to be extremely accurate, and so I do give up a little bit aside to shoot him. I want to get that third turret on target, but the first Gross First is coming out. We do get a decent hit on the second one, though, with 12k. This guy's giving flat broadside. I notice some torpedoes heading toward the friendly Gross First in front of me, which is a little bit scary. I believe those are from a Shimakaze. Rear turret on this Gross First, who now is not looking so healthy at all. Unfortunately, the front two turrets, we kind of whiffed the shot there. It looks like it goes right over his ship and doesn't actually make contact with the hull. Need to turn in now, though. Wary of the enemy Yamato out there, who I assume does not have the range to hit me, and even if he does, there is a battleship in the center of the map. Those two are sort of in a bow-to-bow duel. That's the kind of thing you want to avoid getting into in a battleship, at least in my opinion. That's why I try to move around throughout the course of the whole game. And I do like ships, like the Yamato and the Iowa, where this kind of playstyle is most viable. You need to be moving around, getting all three turrets on target at range. These are not close-in battleships. They don't do well in brawls. So you don't want to get close unless it's in a situation like this where it is really just 1 versus 1 and you don't have to worry about angling to anybody except the single target you're shooting at. There is the concern of the Shimakaze, though, who definitely is out there, and I am glad that that Gross First is dead, because now I will be able to radically alter my course, which is also something you should do from time to time, particularly if there are destroyers around. It decreases the chance that any of their danger pylons or vicious metal fishes will make contact with your hull and remove your hit points. That was a pretty good rhyme there. I should keep that in mind. Vicious metal fishes. Anyway, that Gross First looks like he might be coming around from behind the island, and if he does, that's going to be instant death for him. He's got absolutely no hit points, and he fires at me. The results for him are very ineffective. I'm able to take him out. He really had no chance there. Enemy Z-23 now right in front of us. He goes down, though. It's looking like he was on low health anyway. That just leaves one final destroyer left on the enemy team, and that is the Shimakaze, who I don't think up until this point has been spotted. He plays a very good game. His torpedoes are actually coming for me right now, but this Yamato is broadside, and since I turned away and am sailing away from his location, not a very easy time hitting me. Double Citadel on that Yamato. He goes down as our second kill of the game, and we do take a torp right up the prop shaft. Does quite a bit of damage, causes flooding, and destroys our steering. We do have to use damage control there. The other Yamato is now giving flat broadside 2. Again, this is the kind of thing you want to avoid in the Yamato, is sitting stationary for a long, long time on one sector of the map, and then moving out and giving broadside to the enemy when you are outnumbered. I think up until this point I've played not a super fantastic Yamato game, but a pretty decent one, and one of the friendly destroyers has spotted the Shimakaze inside of the base. I'm hoping that he will be able to hit him as I turn around toward that Shimakaze, but he dies, trying to get a shot on the Baltimore there. You'll notice, however, that we do have one final destroyer left, and he's heading right toward the enemy base. In fact, he's going to get on the enemy base. So now I am fully committing to going after this Shimakaze hopefully spotting him and resetting him, and not being killed along the way. And if I do that while the blue destroyer remains in the enemy base, then we win. Also, if this shot had dev-struck the Baltimore, which it does not, it hits him for 5,300 damage. If that shot had destroyed that particular Tier 7 American cruiser, we also would have won this game. But I didn't notice that at the time, or I couldn't have known that at the time I fired that shot. What I did notice, though, on the map was that the blue destroyer just left the enemy base for no reason whatsoever. All he had to do was sit on the enemy base, and then we would have won, because look how close I am to the Shimakaze smokescreen, and the Shimakaze was the only thing spotting me. Yes, he is going to hit my bow with one torpedo, and probably one more torpedo on the bow would kill me. But the Shimakaze is sitting stationary in his smokescreen, and I am going to spot him, which means I'm going to be able to shoot him. And I've been contesting his cap this entire time, which means had the blue destroyer been on the base for this entire time, he would have been ahead in terms of capping, and it's likely we would have won. But the Shimakaze takes me out. I am able to shoot him and take him down to very, very low health. But this game is looking like pretty much a guaranteed loss. On the other hand, however, the destroyer who failed to cap the base, and I think what he was doing was sort of trying to get his torpedoes on target for that last battleship. He is a Japanese destroyer. He's a Yudachi, in fact. And that's unfortunately what you do see a lot of Yudachi players doing, is try to torpedo battleships instead of playing the objectives, even when it's clear that playing the objectives would result in a victory. However, to be completely fair, this Yudachi is going to try to redeem himself. So in the interest of fairness, I will show you his attempt at redeeming himself, and it'll also be clear why I said we would have won had I landed a shot on the Baltimore that was lethal, or a lethal shot on the Baltimore that would have killed him. Anyway, let's skip ahead a little bit here now. So, if you take a look at the minimap, you can see that both the friendly destroyer and battleship are pushing south toward the base, which the enemy Shimakaze is in the process of capping. The enemy Baltimore was last spotted in the northeastern corner of the map, but there is no sight of him on the minimap yet. He will reappear soon, however, and it does look like there's a good chance that the friendly destroyer might make it to the enemy base on time. I think I said earlier that that destroyer is a Yudachi, but I was actually wrong. It is a very scary Japanese destroyer, but it's also a Shimakaze. He's very close to the base, and the enemy Shimakaze is close to capping, but he's not going to quite flip the circle before the friendly Shimakaze actually reaches the base, and I believe he's going to spot the enemy Shimakaze. Yes, there he is. The Yamato nearly takes some torpedoes, but the Yamato shoots the Shimakaze and takes him out, eliminating the threat to the base. All that remains now is the enemy Baltimore. But since the enemy Shimakaze was on our base for so long, the red team has more points than our team. And so we're going to lose unless this Yamato can kill this Baltimore, which he can't. The Baltimore goes behind an island, goes dark, and secures the win for his team, which was exactly the right move on his part. Now, we could have won this game a lot earlier had that friendly Shimakaze simply stayed on the cap when he entered it the first time, instead of chasing the last remaining enemy battleship for more damage. And, yeah, that's all she wrote. The game is over, and we are defeated. Again, I'm not trying to pick on that particular Shimakaze player. I'm just pointing this out because it's something that I think people might benefit from seeing. So, hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already done that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Goodbye.